What is the most annoying thing a guest has done in your home? A kid whose parents didn't supervise him. He was probably 8 or 9 at the time and would get into anything, especially stuff computer related. He would dig through drawers and open boxes looking for gadgets to play with, only to fuck them up or lose something. We finally told the parents they couldn't bring him back when he got into the kitchen and turned on the glass top stove while a pizza box was on it. Started a small, quickly extinguished fire and the house smelled like smoke for about a week. I was at work all day and I always close my door before leaving. Always. My mum had guests over and decided, hey, let's show the guests everyone's rooms and all the rooms in the house in general. Well, one lady, whom I had never met, didn't like how I arranged my room, so while everyone was at dinner, I work from 11:30 am to about 9 pm, 6 days a week, so I wasn't there when this happened. She went into my room and rearranged my desk, the clothes in my drawers and closet, all my pictures, and threw out some knickknacks that were given to me by old friends but she thought were trash I hadn't thrown out yet. I was pissed. She totally admitted it, but didn't seem to feel bad at all. My mum was upset too, but not as much as me. They are no longer friends, but I'm not sure why. Probably cause she threw out some of my mum's knickknacks as well. My late partner was very sick with leukemia. After over a year of being his 24/7 caregiver, I got the opportunity to go abroad for a work trip. My partner insisted I go because I deserved a break from caregiving and that his deadbeat brother would fill in as caregiver while I was gone. While his brother was staying within our home, he brought his cat, which is a no-no for someone who living with zero immune system, did the absolute minimum to take care of my partner, and left him basically to figure out med/food on his own. And the final blow was he stole the big piggy bank that we were using to save for his bucket list vacation before he died. Then denied he did it. It makes my blood boil thinking about it. A chick I had met online years prior asked to stay. She is from the US, I'm in Aus. She didn't shower the whole time and literally stank up my house, made a mad mess, ate everything. Then when she was leaving, I was baking a cake for someone at work's b-day. She said goodbye and left to go to another chick's house. I discovered later that day she had taken the cake with her. The next house she went to, she didn't shower either. We all met on the same website, and the next victim of her stank was now living in Aus from California, and we regularly hand out still. She ate all their food too, stank twice as bad as a heatwave occurred, and then drank all the alcohol from their house, replacing it with water and tea. They didn't discover this until weeks after she left, as they weren't big drinkers. Decorated the Christmas tree. A bit of backstory. In my family, the Christmas tree isn't just some pretty thing to look at. It's a relic of family history. Every ornament was a gift from a family member or friend. Some of them were generations old. Decorating the tree was something we all did together, and we'd put the ornaments we'd been gifted on the tree. I wanted to pass that on to my daughter. That each ornament was special and meant something. Then, along came my late father-in-law's girlfriend. She was a self-proclaimed authority on everything, from how to properly cook carrots up to how to decorate a Christmas tree. Knowing how she was, I made it clear that we were going to hang the ornaments together after we got back from some last-minute shopping. We got back, and she'd decorated the tree herself. She stood proudly in front of it, waiting for us to tell her how beautiful it was. Bitch simply didn't listen. I invited a former college classmate to come and stay at my house when I found out he was homeless. I knew he had issues with drinking, but was not aware that he had come to include other addictions. It was late in the evening when I picked him up and brought him home. I showed him his room, the bathroom, told him to help himself to anything in the fridge. Less than 2 hours later, I woke up to the smoke alarm going off. I guess he had decided to smoke some Benadryl that was in the medicine cabinet. I'm not really sure what went on, but he scorched my coffee table and a small patch of laminate flooring, plus he burned/melted a spot in my area rug big enough that I had to replace it. He also broke my favorite glass, and for some reason that still baffles me, smashed the remote for my TV into several pieces. Needless to say, I had to show him the door. The next day I told him he needed to go to the addictions clinic at the hospital and tell them he needed help because he was a danger to himself and others. picked up a dude in a gay bar, guess he was bi or something, and brought him back to my apartment. Didn't fuck him as I was too tired and just wanted to hang out and maybe make out or do other things IDK. He turned out to be really into being dominated and humiliated, which is completely fine, but I'm not really into telling guys that their dicks are small to get them off. And I really wasn't in the mood. He then stripped naked and went out to my balcony because he wanted the public to see his tiny dick, and then threatened to go out into the apartment hallway and walk around naked. I lived in an apartment similar to student residence. Now this is where I start to get annoyed. I honestly don't give a shit what your kink is, but if your kink gets me into shit, then that's where I draw the line. Unfortunately I was too polite, and no matter how much I was hinting at him to leave, he wouldn't. I ended up telling him he had to leave because I had to do grocery shopping. Lie, but he just said he would join me. The next part isn't in my house, but I'll still tell it anyway. In the grocery store, mind you this is the next morning and the store is bustling, this motherfucker dropped to his knees and tried to kiss my shoes. Look, I'm into the whole dominating thing, but time and place. I had to tell him to fuck off, exactly in those words. He looked hurt for a moment, but I think it also turned him on, the fact that I didn't want him near me anymore. He left me finally, but for months afterwards, would message me on Facebook asking me to tell him how small his dick was, and humiliate him in other ways. Dude was cute but fucking desperate. I hoped he found someone who could do what I couldn't do. After being told not to smoke in the house, my wife's uncle had a few drinks and passed out in the bed in our guest room with a lit cigarette in his hand. My wife and were downstairs, smelled the smoke, and ran up to find that the mattress was on fire. So, my wife dragged her uncle off the bed. I grabbed the fish tank in the room and dumped its contents on the bed to put out the fire. Thankfully, though the mattress was destroyed and we had to buy a new mattress and bed linens, the only casualties were the fish in the tank. As well, we were also lucky enough that the floor in that room had no carpet, so cleanup wasn't too bad. After the incident was over/fire was out, my wife's uncle was actually upset that we told him he had to sleep on the couch since he had destroyed the bed, and my wife took his cigarettes and keys so he couldn't go buy more away from him and said she'd give them back when he got up the next morning. He has not stayed with us since. TL. Doctor, my wife's uncle set the bed in our guest room on fire after passing out with a lit cigarette in his hand after we told him not to smoke in the house. Rearranged my kitchen and scoured the seasoning off my cast iron. I used to live with 2 other guys and one had a girlfriend that would come over once or twice a week. Most of the dishes, pots, pans and cooking utensils were mine, and I told my roommates they could use them if they kept them clean. I also specifically asked them not to use my cast iron since it was a gift from a deceased family member and took forever to season properly. It was so well seasoned, I could cook eggs with no oil. One day I walk into the kitchen to make myself dinner, and roommate's girlfriend was in the middle of doing dishes, and I notice homegirl has my cast iron submerged in soapy water and she's scrubbing it with a scouring pad. I'm like, Lord have mercy on your immortal soul, because if you don't stop scrubbing that damn cast iron I ain't fixin' to have any on your corporeal body. I then start to look for my pot, but can't find it. She's like, oh, I put it in different drawer. It turns out, she put everything in a different drawer, so I pull out every pot, pan, fork, spoon, utensil, gadget, plate, bowl, cup, saucer and serving dish, and put them all over the counters, and told her not to do that again, that she was a guest in the apartment, and if she wanted a say in how things are organized she can pay rent. Later I found out this more and rearranged my pantry too, so now my groceries and roommate's groceries were all mixed up. She apparently combined my 2 sacks of flour into the same container, but one was bread flour and one was all-purpose. That's why they were 2 different fucking colors. Karen. I don't have many guests. I'm not a fan of people in my space, so I tend to go to things or meet friends out and about. Because of this, my most annoying thing is pretty tame compared to some of the others, but it really annoyed me. A friend came over and brought a friend of theirs who leaned out of my window and smoked despite me asking them not to, as I'm a non-smoker. Their reply was, the smoke is all going outside. It's not a big deal. My sofa cushions and whole flat reeked of smoke for days. I had to deep clean everything. I hate the smell of smoke and smokers, so I was steaming. My grandma is the kind of person who just can't relax. A few years back her and my granddad came to town for Christmas, and she's doing her usual thing of wandering around the house to give herself small chores and stay busy, unplugging lamps, doing insanely small loads of laundry, sweeping up microscopic messes. This drove my family nuts for a while, but we've learned to ignore it, and we kind of just let her do her thing while we enjoy a conversation and play board games. When all of a sudden, she walks straight up to my mom with the confidence of a swaggering pirate and asks, "Dear, do you think we could take everything out of the fridge, look at it, then put it back?" My mom just looked confused and shocked for a few seconds before non-committally stating, "No." And then everything went back to the status quo. We still talk about it all the time.